Well, hey guys, welcome back, and today we're going to talk about that extremely divisive topic, race swapping in Hollywood. And again, we've seen this a lot in modern entertainment, in Hollywood, in video games and media, comic books, you name it, where they take a previously white or European character and turn them black for whatever reason. And it doesn't matter if it's like a half-black actor or a fully black actor. Anytime they do this, there's always a reason behind it, and it's getting to be really annoying. And it's not just white people that are being bigots and racists about it that are noticing this. Even people who are black, who are other ethnicities, are seeing this and going, stop being lazy and giving us, the scraps of previously white characters. It doesn't make any sense. So we've seen this with situations like How to Train Your Dragon, where they've cast the character of Astrid as a half-black girl, whereas we all know Vikings were basically blonde hair, blue-eyed. I mean, obviously there's definitely going to be different variations of that, but Vikings are going to look like Vikings, and they were not black, despite what some people will try to tell you. Of course, we saw this with Amazon's Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power, where they race-swapped or created characters that didn't exist in the first place in Tolkien's lore, and basically said, hey, all the hobbits, we're going to have a black one, we're going to have an Indian one, we're going to have an Asian one. They did the same thing with the elves and the humans. And with a story like Tolkien, like any fantasy story, when they start doing this and just peppering diversity randomly throughout the different races of people, you have to ask yourself, where did the black elf come from? Every other elf is white. This doesn't make any sense, right? And they don't even try to explain it. If they at least tried to explain it and say, well, he's half elf, half human. One of his parents was one of the darker skinned people from like the South. And they could try to explain it, but they don't. They just want you to accept it and not ask questions. Of course, one of the more subtle ones back in the day was Doctor Strange, the role of the Ancient One getting raced and gender swapped. Nobody really said much about it because she was such a fantastic actress in the role and did a very good job. I mean, Doctor Strange is probably still one of my favorite MCU movies. But again, this goes back a while. Recently, we've seen Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man race and gender swap the Osborns. Absolutely insane stuff. And more recently, we see this actress, Lupita Nyong'o, playing the goddess Athena in the Odyssey. Now again, people have tried to gaslight and say, well, Greeks are dark-skinned, don't you know that? And it's like, okay. There's a difference between, let's say, coastal or Mediterranean people who naturally have olive skin from being out in the sun. But if you see the cast of the Odyssey, of course they had to put Zendaya in there because Zendaya's in everything. You see a lot of diversity. The only thing I don't really see is Asian people. Very strange. Oh no, Will Yun Lee. There we go. Never mind. And Jesse Garcia. So we got Hispanic representation as well. Possibly Indian here, Himesh Patel, or Israeli. I'm not sure. Don't shoot the messenger. I don't know what ethnicity this man is. I have no idea. Anne Hathaway. Wow. So we got our white bread in there too. So again, they are just going for diversity's sake on this one. And then you see people try to gaslight and say, hey man, I didn't know if you knew, but Athena is a fictional character. Greek goddesses aren't real. Okay. You're talking about the mythology, lore, history of people that have existed for a couple thousand years now, going back to the Greek city-states, pre-Rome. So you can shit all over the Greeks all you want to and say, hey, Athena's not a real person. It doesn't matter that she was black in Hades. Nobody cares about that video game. Okay, the game did fine, but nobody cares. Trying to say Greeks were black, they weren't real, it doesn't matter, is just gaslighting. So that brings us to our main topic today, where this actor, Paapa Essiedu, hopefully I'm pronouncing his name properly. This is no shade on the actor. I have no problem with him as a person. I know nothing about him, but okay. Is nearing a deal to play Professor Severus Snape in Harry Potter HBO series. Now again, we've seen this rumor time and time again, but it seems to be confirmed now that this actor is going to be playing Snape, who personally, from what I've seen of the Harry Potter films, I've seen about 70% of them at this point. I just was never big into Harry Potter as a kid, so I've watched them now with my kids, and I've seen like the second half of all of them and the last three movies in their entirety. Snape is my favorite character. There's no question in my mind. He is, next to Harry Potter, the second most important character in the entire series. And I freaking love Alan Rickman, so it's really tough to have anybody follow in his shoes to try to play this character. It's a very complex character. But you see a lot of criticism, a lot of people pushing back saying, Paapa Essiedu is a good actor. I like him in The Outrun, again, something I've never heard of. But what the F is this? There's not a single thing about him that screams Snape. It's not even so weird. It's interesting. It's just horrible casting. Papu is innocent, though. Don't hate on him. Hate on Warner Brothers. And again, I will say to a degree, he's right. Don't attack the actor. He's just taking a role. But at the same time, he is willing to do it, so there is questionable motives there. Blyburn Collector says, my Snape, any form of race swapping is straight up racist. F Warner Brothers for doing this lazy, unoriginal, and racist race swapping. Of all the roles to race swap, Snape is the epitome of the alt-right white incel. Interesting. I mean, that's one take you could have on that, I guess. Ryan Cannell saying, HBO told fans this would be a faithful adaptation of the books. Race swapping one of the most complex and important characters in Snape is not faithful to the books. It's BS. And of course, you see this quote here. It says, HBO has described its Harry Potter as a faithful adaptation that will feature a new cast to lead a new generation of fandom, full of fantastic detail and much-loved characters Harry Potter fans have loved for over 25 years. Now, I will say, if the story is written to be English, and it was, to represent the English, people, at the same time, there was still diversity in the movies. There were still people, other characters who were not white. But to race swap essential, important characters who are vividly described in the books doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't. Lily says, y'all had one job where you have Adam Driver playing Snape. And I don't even like Adam Driver that much as an actor. I think he's okay. He would have been perfect. I think actually that would have been fantastic casting. Now we're going to get to a few people that are not white who are complaining about this too, because believe it or not, it's not just, white people complaining about this. You got Kata on here saying, turn to page 394. Again, I do not endorse this meme at all, but I'm not the one saying it. It's him. So again, you got a problem with it. Take it up with Kata. Love you, buddy. Corey Walker here says, this is so exceptionally stupid. Please stop with the race swapping of everything for the sake of diversity. In the case of Snape, making him black literally changes the subtext of his entire story. I'm not sure that it changes everything about the subtext of his entire story, but again, it's fair to say that, yeah, you're changing the actual description of the character himself. Lorena Crayola says, and for what reason besides diversity in name only? Pretty dang defensive given how Snape was described in the books and portrayed on screen. Essiedu may be a fantastic actor, but this is nothing but a virtue signal. And then I'm going to play this video from Kata because he put together a fantastic minute and 15-second video right here talking about this. Says we have another in a long line of lazy virtue signaling race swaps with Snape now being black, further reinforcing that they only see legitimacy in white characters and think black should seal clap just because. This Harry Potter show just tanked itself.
Well, the dumbasses did it. They actually race swapped Snape to be black. A character that's vividly described in the books as being thin, having sallow skin, a long crooked nose, and black greasy hair. When they heard black and greasy, they must have thought, oh, let's cast a nigga in this role. It's so insulting, not only to the character of Snape, but to the actor that's going to be portraying him as well, because he is going to get so much shit thrown his way because y'all gave him a lazy race swap just because he's black. This backhanded way of representation going, here you go, little nigga, here, you could be represented in Harry Potter too. Let's just race swap a character, the laziest form of representation, and give it to you. Here, clap for us, niggas. You just lost all the goodwill that you had going into the show because you want a fucking virtue signal. I'm out of the show, and you just lost me and a majority of the people who are going to watch it because you want a race swap. Try to tell you guys, just because J.K. Rowling might be against the Transformers in the bathrooms doesn't mean that she's not a raging leftist. Prepare for Ron to be turned black because, he's the poorest one in the wizarding community, and he's a ginger. Rearrange the letters and the word ginger, and you'll see why they race swap him.
Oh my god, I forgot he said that. Yeah, so again, I think he's got a fair point there that they could even possibly race swap Ron because Ron is that poor child who's looked down on because his family doesn't come from wealth and means. And so that would be very interesting to see if they attempt to race swap Ron as all. I don't think that's going to happen, but that would be very interesting. And because of his pushback here, Kata even has people calling him a racist and hating his own kind. This person says, just know he hates being black. And Kata responds, are you effing stupid? How do you equate me wanting original black characters as hating my skin color? These people have the brain function of a squirrel. And it's true, because the reality is so many people have, like, if you just go online and look at the discourse around these kind of conversations, all the time what you see is, you should like this, you're black. It's like that scene on The Office when Stanley has a heart attack and Michael's trying to get him to wake up, and he's like, Obama's our president, Obama's the president, he's black, Stanley, wake up. It's like, they think by just dangling these little breadcrumbs in front of them and saying, see, now you have a black character, so you should feel represented, is idiotic. And again, he's absolutely right about J.K. Rowling. This is something that she has signed off on. Yes, she is big against, transgender people being in bathrooms and private spaces for women, which is great, but she's also a hardcore liberal feminist who doesn't give a shit about anything beyond that. So again, while we might have some common ideals about whether or not it should be okay to have men and women in the same sports or in the same dressing rooms and whatnot, the fact is J.K. Rowling doesn't care. She signed off on this, so clearly she has no problem with it. I'm going to leave it right there, guys. Let me know what you think about all this down in the comments down below, and I will catch you guys on the next one. All right, and if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching the video. Thank you for being here. I do have 2 channels, Minimal Effort Podcast, as well as my gaming channel. I do have a Twitch and Kick for my gaming channel. We do live streams over there occasionally, maybe once a week. And then if you are in the market for a new PC, make sure to check out Meta PCs. Click the link I have down below. Use code TBO at checkout for a special discount. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you next time.